wise have eyes in their heads, but the fool walks in darkness. What he's saying is that wise people perceive things, they watch things, they ask questions, they look, they listen, they consider, they delve into truth, they are aware, they are awake, they are available for information, and they take that information and they process it and they look at it, and then they look again and they check and they double check, and they become observers of the world and of life and of truth because they are seeking truth and they are aware of truth. But the fool walks in darkness. The book of Ecclesiastes. I really love the book of Ecclesiastes because it is real. It is real people and a real person speaking to real people about real life issues. Therefore, as we start this Bible chat, I'm going to be looking with you at Ecclesiastes chapter 2, and then we're going to look at a couple other of our passages, and it's going to be about 10 to 12 minutes. If we run out of time, we're going to stop anyway. And if we run out of material, we're also going to stop. So, as I said, I love the book of Ecclesiastes. And in Ecclesiastes 2, he calls himself the preacher or the teacher. It's translated both ways. He said, I tried to understand the things of this world and the things of life, and I sought to find fulfillment in pleasure. And yet I found that, like I said already, it's all vanity. It's all vanity. It's all meaningless, meaningless, meaningless. Everything is meaningless. It's striving after wind. It's running after the wind. It's shadow boxing. And so he says he found pleasure meaningless in Ecclesiastes 2, 1 through 17. He found the accumulation of wealth to be meaningless. And he said, well, I became great and I surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem. Also, my wisdom remained with me because he's already wise. Remember, he asked for wisdom and he got it. Whatever my eyes desired, I didn't keep from them, kept no pleasure from my heart. My heart found, well, no pleasure from my toil. My reward, nothing really. Everything was vanity. So I turned to consider wisdom and madness and folly, for what's a king's successor to do? Only what has already been done. Nothing new, nothing new. So I decided that wisdom exceeds folly. The wise do have eyes in their head, fools walk in darkness. But I perceived this: one fate befalls all people, and we all die. What happens to the fool? It's going to happen to me. So why have I been so wise? And why have I said to myself, all that is vanity? For there's no endurance during remembrance of the wise or of the fools. I hated life. I was despairing of life. Now, you can't take one chapter of the book of Ecclesiastes out of context and let it be the whole thing, because it is not the whole thing. There is a crescendo coming. There is a place of resolution coming. There is a place where he says, Solomon says, remember your Creator in the days of your youth. But you got to digest and let the bad news settle in before you can get to the good news that's coming. One of my professors said that the Christian looks at the book of Ecclesiastes as a grand portrait of life before Christ, before redemption, before grace, life without grace, because it is the conclusion we would come to in our own mind about life. Now, everything about Solomon's observations is accurate. Read it for yourself. See if you relate. Read the whole book. We'll be looking at some of these most likely. But understand this, there is more. There is more. We are living with 1 foot, actually 2 feet in time, but our head and our heart are at least partially in eternity. We have a different perspective that's coming down. Among the readings for today was Psalm 127. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord guards the city, the guard keeps watch in vain. It's in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives sleep to his beloved. Sons are a heritage of the Lord. The fruit of the womb a reward, like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the sons of one youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies at the gate. That's a foot in both worlds. That's the heart and the head straddling time and eternity. Yeah. Things we measure life by, having a family to carry on our heritage. And yet, Solomon says eventually, in the generations of the future, it'll be forgotten. Listen, you don't believe me? How far can you go back with 23andMe or some of those other genealogy tracking? Even with DNA, there's only so far back you can go. But it's unless the Lord builds the house, you might as well just say it's all in vain. There's this dimension to living, this living factor, the factor of eternity that must be dealt with, contended with, and embraced in order for life to have real meaning. That's Psalm 127 and Ecclesiastes 2, 1 through 17. I was looking at Colossians 3, 8 through 4, 1. And that's where Paul says, well, wives, be subject to your husband as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and never treat them harshly. Well, you'd think that sounds like a treatise or a statement in support of male dominance. I don't think so. I think it's just, okay, here we are in the world. This is the world you live in. These are the practices that you embrace. So, wives, see this as a spiritual exercise in the Lord. Husbands, you go further than that. You love your wives and never treat them harshly. Then he says, children, obey your parents. But then he says, fathers, don't provoke your children. Don't let them lose heart. And then the troubling one is when he says, slaves, obey your earthly masters and everything. But he doesn't stop there. He is not supporting slavery, in my opinion. There were more slaves than free people in Colossae when he wrote this. But he says, don't do it like a slave. Don't do it like for looks. Don't do it to please people. Don't do it presumably just to get by. But give something more than's being asked of you. Wholeheartedness, fear of the Lord. Work like it's a soul thing, like your soul depends on it. Do it for the Lord, not for humans. It's like Jesus said when he commanded us to go the second mile or to carry the load that was required the second mile. Take control of your life and your behavior by doing more than what is asked of you. But he says to those who were also caught up in the other end of slavery, masters, treat your slaves justly and fairly, for you know you have a master in heaven. So we are always living in this real world with unjust laws. And we, as people of faith, we, as followers of God's kingdom and of the Christ of the kingdom, we should work to change those laws and to change those systems and to dismantle unjust systems. We should really do that. But in the meantime, on the ground, how we treat people, how we live beyond the logic, beyond the futility, beyond the meaninglessness, beyond the vanity, is that we understand that we're a part of a different kingdom, that we are under the orders of God, that we follow Jesus. And everything we do is because of our loyalty to Jesus. And that is, I think, the message. Unless we live that way, unless we understand that there is something more to living than just going through the motions of living, or having pleasure, or accumulating wealth, or gaining titles, or getting power, or having position, whatever that is, building houses. Unless we get there, we find ourselves declaring with the psalmist, vanity of vanities, all is vanity, meaningless, meaningless, all is meaningless. Everything is just chasing wind.